Commander Reyna Frost stood at the observation deck of the Lunar Defense Station Artemis, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing countless red dots appearing at the edge of the solar system. After 15 years of service in the Earth Defense Force, she had always known this day would come. Humanity wasn't alone, and their first visitors weren't friendly. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Lieutenant James Harrison's fingers danced across the quantum interface, pulling up detailed scans of the approaching vessels. "Multiple contacts, Commander. We're tracking over 5,000 ships emerging from what appears to be artificial wormholes. Energy signatures are off the charts, nothing like we've ever seen before." Reyna's jaw tightened. The Earth Defense Force had prepared for this scenario, but the sheer scale of the invasion force exceeded their worst projections. "What's their estimated time of arrival?" "At their current velocity, they'll reach Mars orbit in 6 hours, Harrison reported, his dark skin reflecting the red glow of the emergency lights that had automatically activated throughout the station. The commander activated the station's quantum communication array, establishing a direct link to Earth Defense Command. General Natalia Volkov's hologram materialized instantly, her weathered face bearing the weight of command. "Commander Frost, I assume you're tracking our visitors?" "Yes, General. The Caraxian Empire, based on their energy signatures. They're not hiding their approach, this is a show of force." The general's expression darkened. "They're confident. Too confident. Have they made any attempts at communication?" As if on cue, Lieutenant Harrison called out, "Commander, we're receiving a transmission across all frequencies. They're broadcasting in multiple languages, including English." The message appeared on the main screen, its tone dripping with arrogance and presumption. High Admiral Xerix of the Caraxian Empire demanded Earth's immediate surrender, promising merciful subjugation in exchange for compliance. Reyna's hands clenched into fists. "They expect us to roll over and submit, General. They have no idea what they're dealing with." "Indeed they don't, Commander." General Volkov's hologram smiled grimly. "Initiate Protocol Prometheus. Show them why humanity has survived every catastrophe that's ever threatened our existence." The order sent chills down Reyna's spine. Protocol Prometheus, humanity's ultimate defensive strategy, developed through decades of preparation for this very moment. "Understood, General. Artemis Station initiating Protocol Prometheus." As the general's hologram faded, Reyna turned to her crew. "Sound General Quarters. Begin evacuation of all non-essential personnel. Lieutenant Harrison, activate the quantum defense grid." The station hummed to life as hidden systems activated. Beneath the lunar surface, enormous generators powered up, drawing energy from the quantum vacuum itself. Unlike the Caraxians' flashy display of power, humanity had chosen to hide their true capabilities. "Message from Earth Defense Command," Harrison announced. "All planetary defense systems are online. The Sol System defense grid is charging." Reyna watched as countless stealth satellites, hidden in plain sight for years, began powering up throughout the solar system. Each one contained technology that would have seemed like magic even a few decades ago, the fruits of humanity's relentless drive to survive and innovate. "Send our response to the Caraxian fleet," she ordered. The message was simple: your arrogance will be your undoing. We've been preparing for this moment since we first looked up at the stars. Last chance to retreat. The response came quickly: laughter. High Admiral Xerix's hologram appeared on their main screen, his crystalline form shimming with barely contained amusement. "Brave words from a primitive species. Your defiance is noted, but futile. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Your technology is centuries behind ours." Reyna allowed herself a small smile. "Is it? Lieutenant Harrison, demonstrate our first lesson in human warfare." Harrison's fingers flew across his console. Throughout the solar system, quantum entanglement devices activated. The Caraxians' advanced sensors would detect nothing until it was too late. The lesson began with 30 of their outer scout ships simply ceasing to exist, their very atoms dissolved into base particles by targeted quantum field manipulations. No explosion, no debris, just empty space where warships had been moments before. Xerxes' hologram flickered, his crystalline features showing the first traces of concern. Impossible. Your species hasn't even colonized your own system. That's where you made your first mistake, Reyna replied calmly. You assumed that because we chose to stay close to home, we were primitive. The truth is, we spent our time and resources differently. While you were conquering other worlds, we were mastering the fundamental forces of reality itself. More Caraxian ships vanished as humanity's quantum defense grid continued its work. The invasion fleet's formation began to waver, their confident advance faltering for the first time. This is your final warning, Reyna announced. The demonstration is over. The next phase will not be as gentle. Retreat now, or face the full consequences of your actions. The Caraxian Admiral's hologram showed genuine fear now. What are you? We are humanity. We've spent our entire history preparing for threats like you. Every war we've fought, every challenge we've overcome, every scientific breakthrough we've achieved, it was all leading to this moment. We didn't spread across the stars because we were busy making sure we could protect our home. As if to emphasize her point, the quantum defense grid pulsed again, this time targeting the Caraxians' communication systems. Across their entire fleet, their advanced technology began to fail as quantum fields disrupted the very principles their devices operated on. Your empire conquers through brute force, Reyna continued. We survived through innovation and determination. You expect species to submit or be destroyed. We've spent millennia learning to overcome exactly that kind of threat. The invasion fleet began to retreat, their orderly formation dissolving into chaos as more ships succumbed to humanity's defensive systems. High Admiral Xerxes' final transmission was cut short as his flagship's communications failed. Commander Frost watched the retreat with mixed emotions. This was only the beginning, the Caraxians would be back, possibly with new tactics and technology. But humanity would be ready. They always had been. Log this in the official record, she ordered. First contact with the Caraxian Empire. Threat level, significant but manageable. Recommendation, continue advancement of defensive capabilities. They'll tell others about us now. We need to be prepared for what comes next. Lieutenant Harrison nodded solemnly. They never saw it coming, did they, Commander? No, Reyna replied, watching the last of the Caraxian ships flee through their wormholes. They made the same mistake so many others have made throughout history, they underestimated humanity's capacity to survive. Let's make sure we're ready when they make their next mistake. Admiral Marcus Drake stood in the war room of Earth Defense Command's underground facility, studying the holographic representation of the solar system. 2 weeks had passed since the Caraxian Empire's first attempt at invasion, and the relative peace made him uneasy. 30 years of military service had taught him that silence often preceded the storm. They're adapting, he muttered, watching the simulation of their previous encounter. Lieutenant Rodriguez, analysis of their retreat patterns. Teresa Rodriguez, the youngest tactical analyst in EDC history, stepped forward. Her augmented eyes scanned through layers of data as she spoke. The Caraxians didn't just retreat, sir. They were gathering intelligence. Each destroyed ship provided them with data about our defensive capabilities. Marcus nodded grimly. The Caraxians weren't the first empire to underestimate humanity, but they were proving to be quick learners. What's your assessment of their likely response? They'll try to overwhelm our quantum defense grid, Rodriguez replied, manipulating the holographic display to show potential attack vectors. Their technology may be different, but their military doctrine is predictable: when brute force fails, use more brute force. The Admiral's weathered face creased in a slight smile. Then let's show them why that won't work. Status of Project Thunderbolt. Online and ready, sir. Rodriguez brought up a new display, showing a network of satellites hidden within the asteroid belt. Dr. Patel's team completed the final calibrations yesterday. The quantum entanglement drive is stable and synchronized across all platforms. Marcus approached the central console, placing his hand on the biometric scanner. Send the alert. All personnel to battle stations. If the Caraxians think they've seen the extent of human ingenuity, they're in for a surprise. Throughout the solar system, humanity's defense forces moved with practiced precision. Unlike the Caraxians' bold displays of power, Earth's true strength lay hidden in plain sight. Automated factories within Mercury's caves produced quantum-enhanced weaponry. Venus's toxic atmosphere concealed atmospheric processors that could be turned into defensive weapons in seconds. Every planet, moon, and asteroid field contained surprises waiting to be unleashed. Multiple wormhole signatures detected. Rodriguez announced, her augmented eyes flashing as they processed the incoming data. They've brought reinforcements, reading over 15,000 ships this time. The war room erupted into controlled activity as officers coordinated Earth's response. Marcus watched the Caraxian fleet emerge, noting their modified formation. They've adapted their shields, he observed. Trying to counter our quantum disruption technology. Admiral, a new voice called out. Dr. Rajesh Kumar, head of xenobiology, rushed into the war room. We've decoded more of their communications. The Caraxians, they're not just fighting for conquest. They're frightened. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Frightened? Of us? Of what we represent, Kumar explained, his words rushing out. Their empire is based on technological superiority. We're the first species they've encountered that developed along a completely different path. Our technology, our ways of thinking, they're alien to them in the truest sense. The Admiral's expression hardened as the Caraxian fleet moved deeper into the solar system. Good. Let's give them something else to fear. Rodriguez, initiate Project Thunderbolt. Throughout the asteroid belt, hidden satellites activated. Unlike the quantum defense grid that had repelled the first invasion, these devices operated on an entirely different principle. If the Caraxians had adapted to quantum disruption, humanity would simply change the rules of engagement. Thunderbolt platforms online, Rodriguez reported. Gravitational lensing field activated. They can't see what's coming. Marcus watched as the space around the Caraxian fleet began to distort. Humanity had spent decades studying the fundamental forces of the universe, learning to manipulate not just quantum fields, but gravity itself. The Caraxians had built their empire on conquering other species, humans had built their defenses on understanding the cosmos. Multiple targets locked, Rodriguez announced. Gravitational singularity weapons armed and ready. Show them what happens when they threaten our home, Marcus ordered. Execute. The effect was immediate and devastating. Microscopic black holes materialized throughout the Caraxian fleet, their gravitational pull tearing ships apart before dissipating harmlessly. The invaders' modified shields, designed to counter quantum attacks, proved useless against this new threat. Enemy fleet attempting to regroup, Rodriguez reported, her augmented eyes tracking the chaos. Their formation is breaking. They didn't expect us to have completely different weapons ready. Marcus allowed himself a grim smile. That's the difference between them and us. They expect species to follow predictable patterns of technological development. We've spent our history breaking those patterns. The Caraxian fleet's attempted counterattack proved futile. Their energy weapons, powerful enough to shatter planets, were bent and redirected by humanity's gravitational control systems. Their attempts to launch fighters were met with localized time dilation fields that froze the ships in place. Admiral, Rodriguez called out, we're receiving a transmission from their command ship. They're requesting a ceasefire. The war room fell silent as the holographic image of High Admiral Xerix appeared. The crystalline being's previous arrogance had been replaced by something approaching respect. "Your species continues to surprise us," he admitted. Perhaps we should discuss terms." Marcus straightened to his full height. "The terms are simple. The Sol system and its surrounding space are off-limits to your empire. Any future contact will be diplomatic, not military. Violate these terms, and next time we won't be so merciful." As the Caraxian fleet retreated for the second time, Dr. Kumar approached the admiral. "They'll be back, you know. Not to fight, but to understand. We've shattered their view of how civilization develops." "Let them come," Marcus replied, watching the last ships disappear. "Humanity has always learned from its challenges. Maybe it's time we taught others to do the same." Rodriguez's augmented eyes flickered as she processed the battle data. "Sir, should we begin developing new defensive systems? They might try again with different tactics." "They might," Marcus agreed. "But that's what humanity does best: we adapt, we innovate, and we survive. Let them study us. Let them try to understand how a primitive species developed such advanced technology. Every time they think they've figured us out, we'll show them something new." As the war room settled into post-battle procedures, Marcus knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy in a way that couldn't be ignored. The coming years would bring new challenges, new threats, and new opportunities. But for now, they had proven what humans had always known: never underestimate a species that had turned survival into an art form. Dr. Samira Patel's laboratory deep beneath the Himalayan mountains hummed with energy as quantum computers processed the latest data from the Caraxian encounters. Her hands moved gracefully through the holographic interface, analyzing patterns that would seem like chaos to most observers. But to her, they told a story of desperation and determination, not from the humans, but from their would-be conquerors. "They still don't understand," she murmured, her dark eyes reflecting the blue glow of quantum calculations. "Running the same simulations, expecting different results." Behind her, Dr. Thomas Ward, her longtime research partner, looked up from his own workstation. "The intercepts from their communications suggest they're mobilizing their entire scientific community. They're obsessed with understanding how we developed our technology so differently." Samira smiled without turning around. "Of course they are. We broke their paradigm. Their entire empire is built on a linear progression of technological advancement. Fusion leads to antimatter, leads to quantum manipulation. But humanity?" She gestured at the laboratory around them. "We took a different path entirely." The laboratory itself was a testament to human ingenuity. While other species reached for the stars, humanity had turned inward, mastering the fundamental forces of reality itself. The quantum computers weren't just processing information, they were manipulating the fabric of spacetime to perform calculations that should have been impossible. "New data incoming," announced the lab's AI, its voice echoing through the cavernous space. "Caraxian probe detected at the edge of the Kuiper belt. They're using a new type of cloaking technology." "Let them watch," Samira said, pulling up the probe's data signature. "Every time they think they've figured out our capabilities, we show them something new." "Thomas, how's Project Eclipse coming along?" Her colleague's face lit up with excitement. "The phase shift technology is stable. We can effectively remove matter from normal spacetime for microseconds. Long enough to make any attack pass harmlessly through our ships." "Good." Samira's fingers danced through the holographic display, adding the new data to their defensive matrices. "Because I don't think the Caraxians are done with us yet. They're too invested now. Their entire understanding of technological progression is at stake." As if to confirm her words, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. The AI's voice took on a more urgent tone. "Multiple quantum signatures detected. The Caraxians are attempting to scan our facility." Samira's expression hardened. "Activate the quantum confusion field." Let's show them another trick. With a few gestures, she initiated a protocol that bent reality around the laboratory. To any outside observer, even one using advanced quantum scanning technology, the facility would appear to exist in multiple states simultaneously. Dr. Patel, a new voice called. Commander Raina Frost's hologram materialized in the center of the lab. We're detecting unusual activity in the Caraxian Empire. Our deep space arrays are picking up massive fleet movements. They're preparing something big, Samira confirmed, sharing her latest analysis. But not just militarily. Their entire scientific community is in upheaval. Our existence has challenged everything they thought they knew about technological development. Thomas joined the conversation, adding his own insights. We've detected attempts to replicate our quantum manipulation techniques. They're failing because they're approaching it from the wrong direction. They see technology as a ladder to climb. We see it as a web to explore. Commander Frost's hologram nodded grimly. How long until they try again? And what should we expect? Samira pulled up a new simulation, showing possible attack vectors and technological approaches. They'll try to combine their traditional technology with attempts to copy ours. It won't work, not because they're not capable, but because they don't understand the fundamental principles we based our development on. Explain, Frost requested, her holographic form leaning forward with interest. The Caraxians and their empire developed technology based on domination, forcing the natural world to bend to their will. Humanity. Samira gestured at the quantum computers surrounding them. We developed our technology based on understanding. We don't force quantum particles to behave the way we want, we understand them so completely that we can work with their natural tendencies. Thomas added, it's the difference between building a dam to control a river and understanding the water cycle so completely that you can make it rain where and when you need it. Incoming transmission, the AI announced. The Caraxian probe is broadcasting on all frequencies. The message that played through the laboratory speakers was not the usual demands or threats. Instead, it was a request, almost a plea, for scientific exchange. The Caraxian Science Council wanted to understand how humanity had developed their technology. Samira exchanged looks with Commander Frost and Thomas. They're learning, she observed. Not just about our technology, but about how we think. This might be an opportunity. Or a trap, Frost warned. They could be gathering intelligence for their next attack. Perhaps both, Samira replied, already formulating plans. But that's what humanity does best, we take risks, we learn, we adapt. Commander, with your permission, I'd like to send them a response. Frost's hologram shimmered as she considered the request. What do you have in mind? We'll show them a small piece of our quantum manipulation technology. Something basic, but fundamentally different from their approach. If they're genuinely interested in learning, it will force them to reconsider their entire scientific paradigm. And if they're planning an attack? Samira's smile held a hint of steel. Then they'll waste precious resources trying to understand technology that only works because of principles they haven't discovered yet. Either way, we gain an advantage. The commander nodded slowly. Do it. But keep Project Eclipse under wraps. We still need our surprises. As Samira began composing the response, she reflected on the irony of the situation. The Caraxians had come to conquer a primitive species, only to find themselves forced to question everything they thought they knew about technological advancement. They're scanning the transmission, Thomas reported as Samira sent the message. Their probe's energy signature just spiked. I think we just blew their minds. Good, Samira replied, watching the quantum readouts. Because humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, it's our ability to think differently, to question everything, to find new paths where others see only walls. Let them study our message. Let them try to understand. She turned to the holographic display showing the Caraxian probe. The real question isn't whether they'll attack again. It's whether they'll learn enough to understand why they shouldn't. Gene Park sat motionless in his command chair within the Cyber Defense Operations Center, his eyes closed as his neural interface connected him directly to Earth's digital defense network. To an outside observer, he might have appeared asleep, but in the digital realm, he was moving at the speed of thought, analyzing the strange patterns emerging from the Caraxian networks. "They're trying to understand our coding principles," he announced to his team, his voice calm despite the streams of data flooding his consciousness. "But they're approaching it from completely the wrong direction." Olivia Bennett, his second-in-command, monitored the holographic displays surrounding them. "They're still thinking in binary," she noted, her fingers dancing across neural sensors. "They haven't grasped quantum programming at all." Gene allowed himself a small smile. While the Caraxians had mastered faster-than-light travel and energy weapons that could shatter planets, their computer systems were fundamentally limited by their linear thinking. Humanity, driven by centuries of digital warfare against itself, had developed systems that defied conventional logic. "New intrusion attempt detected," announced the facility's AI. "Caraxian origin. They're using a hybrid approach, attempting to combine their traditional systems with copied elements of our quantum protocols." "Show me," Gene commanded, his consciousness expanding through the network. The attack was impressive by conventional standards, a sophisticated attempt to breach Earth's digital defenses using principles reverse-engineered from their earlier encounters. But to Gene and his team, it was like watching children play with quantum mechanics. "They're still thinking in terms of barriers and breakthroughs," he observed. "They haven't realized our systems don't work that way." "Sir," called out Rafael Santos, their quantum security specialist. "They're targeting the Mars defense grid. Should we shut them down?" Gene considered for a moment. "No. Let them in, but only into the outer layer. Let's show them why copying technology without understanding its principles is dangerous." His team watched as Gene crafted a response that would become legendary in cyber warfare history. Instead of blocking the Caraxian intrusion, he let them believe they had succeeded, only to trap them in a quantum maze of their own making. "Their systems are based on certainty," Gene explained as they watched the Caraxians struggle. "Ours are based on probability and uncertainty. The more they try to apply their logic to our networks, the more confused their systems become." The holographic displays showed the results in real time. Caraxian computer systems, trying to process quantum states with binary logic, began to experience cascading failures. Their mighty warships, dependent on computer control, started reporting impossible errors. "They're pulling back," Olivia reported, monitoring the retreat. "But something's different this time. They're learning." Gene nodded, his neural interface showing him patterns that others couldn't see. "They're beginning to understand that they can't beat us by simply copying our technology. Their entire empire is built on the assumption that technological progress follows a fixed path. We're showing them a completely different road." The center's AI highlighted a new development. The Caraxians were broadcasting on frequencies they hadn't used before, attempting to establish a different kind of communication. "They want to talk," Raphael observed. "Really talk, not just issue demands." "Of course they do," Gene replied, finally opening his eyes and disconnecting from the direct neural interface. "We've shown them something they've never seen before, a species that developed along completely different lines than they thought possible." He stood, stretching muscles stiff from hours of neural immersion. "Their empire spans thousands of star systems, but they've never encountered anyone like us. We didn't just resist their military might, we showed them that their understanding of technological progress is incomplete." Olivia brought up a new display, showing analysis of the Caraxian broadcasts. "They're requesting information about our computer systems. Not our military technology, they want to understand our fundamental approach to information processing." "It's more than that," Gene said, studying the patterns in their communication. "They're starting to realize that the same principles that make our computer systems different, our comfort with uncertainty, our ability to think in quantum states, also shape how we approach everything else. The team watched as more data poured in from their monitoring systems. The Caraxian Empire was in turmoil, not from military defeat, but from the philosophical implications of encountering humanity. Their rigid hierarchy, based on technological superiority, was being challenged by a species that had taken a completely different path to advancement. "Sir," Raphael called out, "we're detecting massive changes in their network architecture. They're experimenting. Trying to incorporate quantum uncertainty into their systems." Jean smiled. "And failing, because they're still trying to control it rather than work with it. Humanity spent centuries learning to embrace chaos and uncertainty. We had to, our own digital evolution forced us to." He turned to his team, his expression serious. "This is the real battle, and it's not one we can win with force. The Caraxians aren't just fighting our technology, they're fighting an entirely new way of thinking. What's our next move?" Olivia asked, her hands hovering over her control interface. "We show them more," Jean decided. "Not our military secrets, but our basic principles. Let them see how we approach problems differently. Either they'll learn and evolve, or they'll keep trying to force the universe to work the way they think it should." He reconnected to the neural interface, his consciousness expanding once again into the digital realm. "Prepare a data packet. Show them our earliest quantum computing experiments, the ones that failed because we were thinking too linearly. Let them see how we learn to embrace uncertainty." As his team worked, Jean reflected on the irony of the situation. The Caraxians had come to conquer what they thought was a primitive species, only to find themselves forced to question the very foundations of their technological society. "Incoming transmission," the AI announced. "The Caraxian Science Council is requesting direct digital contact." Jean exchanged looks with his team. This was unprecedented. The Caraxians were willing to risk exposing their systems to human influence just to understand how they thought. "Accept the connection," he ordered. "But maintain quantum isolation protocols. Let's show them how two different approaches to technology can coexist and learn from each other." As the digital handshake began, Jean smiled. The real victory wasn't in defeating the Caraxian Empire, it was in forcing them to evolve. In showing them that there was more than one path to the stars. And perhaps, in teaching them why diversity of thought was humanity's greatest strength. High above Earth, aboard the newly constructed diplomatic station Unity, representatives from humanity and the Caraxian Empire gathered for a meeting that would reshape galactic civilization. The station itself was a testament to both species' capabilities, a blend of Caraxian energy manipulation technology and human quantum engineering. Admiral Marcus Drake stood at the observation window, watching the shimmering force field that contained their artificial atmosphere. Beside him, Commander Raina Frost and Dr. Samira Patel waited for their guests to arrive. Gene Park's hologram flickered nearby, his consciousness split between the station and Earth's defense networks. "They're here," Raina announced, as a Caraxian shuttle emerged from a controlled wormhole. Unlike their previous encounters, this arrival carried no threat, only possibility. The Caraxian delegation entered the chamber with characteristic precision. High Admiral Xerix led them, his crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns that humans had learned to recognize as emotional indicators. Behind him came their lead scientist, Oracle Nyx, and their master strategist, Void Commander Trell. "Greetings," Xerix began, his translated voice carrying none of the arrogance from their first encounter. "We come seeking understanding, not conquest." Marcus stepped forward. "That's a significant change from our first meeting, High Admiral." "Indeed." Xerix's crystalline form shifted, displaying patterns of humility. "We have spent cycles studying your species, trying to comprehend how you achieved what should have been impossible. Our entire understanding of technological progression has been challenged." Dr. Patel moved to the central holographic display, activating it with a thought. "Because you assumed there was only one path to the stars," she said, projecting an image of both species' technological development. Your empire grew through conquest, absorbing other civilizations that followed similar patterns. But humanity. You evolved differently, Oracle Nyx interjected, her crystalline form vibrating with excitement. While we mastered the art of bending space to our will, you learned to dance with quantum uncertainty. While we built computers of unmatched power, you created systems that think in possibilities rather than certainties. Jin's hologram stepped forward. And that's what truly frightened you, wasn't it? Not our weapons or our defenses, but the fact that we represented something your empire had never considered, a completely different path to advancement. Void Commander Trell moved closer to the display, studying the intertwined paths of human and Caraxian development. Your species faced challenges we never encountered, he observed. Your divided nature, your constant conflicts, forced you to innovate in ways we never imagined. While your empire spread across the stars, Reyna added, humanity turned inward. We mastered quantum mechanics not to travel faster, but to understand reality itself. We developed our technology not through conquest, but through necessity. The holographic display shifted, showing the current state of both civilizations. The Caraxian Empire sprawled across thousands of star systems, a testament to their power and ambition. Earth stood alone, but surrounded by layers of defenses and innovations that defied conventional understanding. We came here today, High Admiral Xerix announced, to propose something unprecedented in our empire's history. We seek not to conquer or absorb, but to learn and share. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Your empire is built on the principle of technological superiority. How will your people accept this change? They already are, Oracle Nyx responded. Your existence has sparked a revolution in our thinking. Our scientists are questioning assumptions that have stood for millennia. Our strategists are studying your history, learning how diversity of thought leads to innovation. Jin's hologram flickered as he processed new data. Your networks are changing too. We've detected attempts to incorporate quantum uncertainty principles into your computer systems. Yes, Xerix acknowledged. Though we struggle to understand how you can build reliable systems on uncertain foundations. It goes against everything we believed about technological progress. Dr. Patel smiled. That's precisely why we succeeded where you failed. You try to eliminate uncertainty, we learn to embrace it. Your empire seeks to impose order on the galaxy, humanity learned to thrive in chaos. The holographic display shifted again, showing a possible future, one where human and Caraxian technologies merged and evolved together. This is what we're offering, Marcus said. Not submission, not conquest, but collaboration. A chance for both our species to grow in ways we never imagined alone. The Caraxian delegates conferred briefly, their crystalline forms resonating in complex patterns. Finally, High Admiral Xerix turned back to the human representatives. We accept. But we have one condition. Name it, Reyna responded. Help us understand not just your technology, but your way of thinking. Our empire has grown stagnant, bound by assumptions we never thought to question. Your species has shown us that there are other paths to the stars. Marcus extended his hand, a gesture the Caraxians had studied and learned to appreciate. Welcome to a new age of exploration, High Admiral. One where we discover not just new worlds, but new ways of thinking. As the delegates began discussing the details of their unprecedented agreement, Dr. Patel turned to Admiral Drake. They still don't fully understand what they're asking for, she observed quietly. No, Marcus agreed with a slight smile. They think they're just learning new technology. They haven't realized that by opening themselves to our way of thinking, they're starting a transformation that will reshape their entire civilization. Jin's hologram flickered with amusement. The empire that came to conquer Earth will never be the same. Not because we defeated them, but because we showed them a mirror, and in it, they saw not just who they were, but who they could become. As Earth's sun rose over the horizon, casting golden light through the station's windows, both species representatives continued their discussions. The Caraxian Empire had come seeking conquest and found transformation instead. Humanity had prepared for war but achieved something far more valuable, the chance to help shape the future of galactic civilization. In the end, it wasn't humanity's weapons that changed the galaxy, but their ideas. Their willingness to embrace uncertainty, to think differently, to find new paths where others saw only walls. The empire that had conquered 1,000 worlds had finally met its match, not in battle, but in imagination.